Make Time, How to Focus on What Matters Every Day by Jake Knapp and John Zeratsky. Picture this. It's just another afternoon. Jake's at home with his two young boys, finally getting that quality time he'd been craving all day. His 8-year-old Luke is sprawled on the floor, totally absorbed in building an elaborate wooden train track. The baby's doing what babies do best, happily gumming on one of the toy locomotives. It's one of those perfect, peaceful family moments you wish you could bottle up and keep forever. Then Luke glances up from his masterpiece and asks a question so simple, so innocent, it would end up changing everything. "Dad," he says, "why are you looking at your phone?" Jake froze. He didn't have a good answer. Sure, there was probably some email lurking there, maybe a notification, some excuse for staring into that glowing little rectangle. But was it actually important? More important than the train track masterpiece being built at his feet? More important than these fleeting, precious moments with his kids that he'd never get back? In that instant, something shifted. Jake realized his body might have been in the living room, but his mind? His mind was somewhere else entirely, caught up in a digital whirlwind of other people's priorities. That single question from his son sparked an unexpected quest. Jake teamed up with his colleague John Zeratsky, and together these two tech insiders from Google and YouTube set out on a mission. Here's the twist. They'd actually helped design the very apps and systems that were now hijacking everyone's attention. They knew the enemy from the inside, and they decided to fight back, not by cramming more tasks into each day or becoming productivity machines, but by completely rethinking how we spend our time on what genuinely matters. The result? Make Time. This book has sold hundreds of thousands of copies and been translated around the globe, and here's why. It doesn't offer some complicated new productivity system with 17 steps and color-coded spreadsheets. Instead, it gives you something far more valuable, a simple, 4-step framework for breaking free from the endless cycle of busyness and distraction. So if you've ever reached the end of a day wondering, wait, what did I actually do today? Or felt like your life is just one big blur of rushing from one thing to the next, stick with me. By the time we're done here, you'll have a real blueprint for taking back your time, your focus, and honestly, your life itself. You'll learn how to stop sleepwalking through your days and start living with genuine intention. Ever notice how this conversation plays out? Someone asks, "How are you?" And before you can even think, you blurt out, "Busy." It's become our automatic response, like some weird cultural reflex. Our calendars look like someone went absolutely wild playing Tetris, every single space crammed with something we're supposed to do. Our phones buzz and ping from the second we open our eyes, screaming at us with hundreds of emails, breaking news alerts, and notifications about what someone we barely remember from high school just ate for lunch. We spend entire days just reacting, putting out fires, jumping to answer everyone else's demands. Then we drag ourselves home, completely exhausted, and collapse on the couch, too wiped out to do anything but zone out in front of a screen. Jake and John call this modern predicament a trap, one that's been set by two powerful forces that are basically in a cage match for every single minute of your life. The first force? They call it the busy bandwagon. This is our culture's obsession with constant busyness. It's this weird belief that to be successful, to be a good employee, to be a functioning adult, your calendar absolutely must be overflowing, and your to-do list needs to stretch into next year. We feel this relentless pressure to be productive every single second. Slow down for even a moment? Cue the guilt, that nagging feeling that we're falling behind while everyone else races ahead. The busy bandwagon whispers in your ear that the solution to feeling overwhelmed is simple. Do more, be more efficient, just run faster on that hamster wheel. The second force? The infinity pools. These are all those apps on your phone and websites on your computer that offer an endless, bottomless supply of content. Social media feeds, streaming services, non-stop news sites. If you can pull down to refresh it, congratulations, you've found an infinity pool. These are designed to be your reward for surviving the busy bandwagon. You're exhausted from being busy all day, so naturally you deserve to dive headfirst into an endless stream of entertainment, right? So there you are, stuck in the middle. The busy bandwagon is yanking you in one direction, demanding you be productive every single second. The infinity pools are pulling you the other way with their irresistible promise of endless distraction. The result? Your time just gets spent by default. You react to whatever's on your calendar. You react to whatever lands in your inbox, and then you react to whatever the algorithm decides to serve you next. You spend the whole day doing things, sure, but when your head hits the pillow, you realize you haven't done anything that truly matters to you. This is exactly the problem that Jake and Jay-Z, two self-proclaimed time dorks, decided to tackle. After that eye-opening moment with his son, Jake did something pretty radical. In a moment of pure frustration, he grabbed his iPhone and started a deleting spree. Twitter? Gone. Facebook? Bye. Instagram? See ya. Then he found himself staring at the Gmail icon. Now this was complicated, because Jake had actually worked on the Gmail team at Google. He loved that product. But deep down, he knew what had to be done. He tapped delete. He fully expected to feel anxious afterward, like he'd been cut off from civilization. Instead, he felt this wave of relief wash over him. He actually felt free. For the first time in what seemed like forever, he wasn't reflexively grabbing his phone at the tiniest hint of boredom. This simple experiment with a distraction-free phone became the first real breakthrough. Not long after, Jake crossed paths with John Zeratsky, who everyone calls Jay-Z, at Google Ventures. Jay-Z was almost Jake's complete opposite in many ways. Calm, organized, never seemed stressed about anything. But they shared this deep disillusionment with both the busy bandwagon and the infinity pools. Jay-Z was completely obsessed with finding a real system for designing better days. Together, they stumbled upon the perfect laboratory for testing their ideas, something called the design sprint. A design sprint is this intense 5-day process for solving big problems that Jake had created at Google. For 5 straight days, a team would cancel absolutely everything else, put away their laptops and phones, and focus with laser intensity on one single, important challenge. Over several years, they ran over 150 of these sprints with companies like Slack and Uber. And through all these intense experiments, they discovered 4 game-changing lessons that became the foundation of the Make Time framework. First, they learned that something almost magical happens when you start your day with one single high-priority goal. It creates this clarity and motivation that's hard to describe until you experience it. Second, they saw that banning devices was absolutely transformative. Without that constant gravitational pull of email and notifications, people could actually bring their full attention to what they were doing. Third, they discovered that energy isn't some luxury for people with extra time on their hands. It's absolutely essential for clear thinking. Simple things like eating a decent lunch, taking a quick walk, and grabbing frequent breaks didn't slow anyone down. In fact, they made the work better and way more effective. And finally, they learned the real power of experimentation. Taking notes, observing what actually worked versus what just sounded good, and adjusting the next day created this continuous improvement loop. These 4 lessons evolved into the simple, elegant, 4-step system at the heart of Make Time. It's a cycle you repeat every single day. Highlight, laser, energize, and reflect. Let's dig into what each of those actually means. The first step every single day is choosing your highlight. This is hands down the most important step. It's where you decide, proactively and intentionally, what you want to make time for. Before the day starts running you over like a freight train, you ask yourself one simple question. At the end of today, what do I want to be the highlight? When you're looking back at your day, what's the one moment, activity, or accomplishment you want to actually remember and savor? That's your highlight. It's definitely not your entire to-do list. In fact, it's kind of the opposite of an overwhelming to-do list. A highlight is a single focal point for your day. It might be something urgent at work, like finally finishing that presentation you've been stressing about. It might be something satisfying at home, like planting your garden or tackling that project that's been sitting in your someday pile for months. Or it might be something that simply brings you joy, like reading a great book or playing with your kids. The authors suggest your highlight should take somewhere around 60 to 90 minutes. That's the sweet spot. Long enough to actually be meaningful and satisfying, but short enough to realistically fit into even a busy day. So how do you actually choose? They offer 3 simple lenses to look through. First, you can choose based on urgency. What's the most pressing thing you absolutely have to get done today? Making that your highlight means you won't hit 5 p.m. with that horrible nagging feeling that you didn't do the one thing that actually mattered. Second, you can choose based on satisfaction. What's a project that isn't technically urgent, but will give you this huge sense of accomplishment when you finish it? These are often those personal projects that keep getting shoved aside for someday. Choosing a satisfying highlight breaks that frustrating cycle. And third, you can choose based on joy. What's something you genuinely just want to do? Something that will make you happy. Could be lunch with a friend, playing guitar, taking your dog to the park. The authors remind us that making time isn't only about being productive. It's about making your life more joyful, period. The first tactic for your highlight is the simplest, but somehow the most powerful. Write it down. Whether it's on a sticky note stuck to your laptop or penciled into your calendar, the simple act of writing down your intention makes it real. It dramatically increases the chances it'll actually happen. And once you've chosen it, you need to protect it. That's where tactics like schedule your highlight and block your calendar come in. You literally treat your highlight like it's an important meeting, because honestly, it is. You're making a commitment to yourself. Choosing a highlight puts you firmly in the driver's seat. It's your personal declaration that today, you're not just going to react to whatever comes at you. Today, you're going to be intentional about how you spend your time. But here's the thing. As soon as you make that decision, the world is going to try its absolute hardest to pull you off course. Which brings us to the second step of the framework, laser. Laser is all about creating a state of intense focus on your highlight. It's about actually beating distraction. And the authors, having helped build these distractions from the inside, know something crucial. Willpower alone is not going to cut it. The apps and websites fighting for your attention have been designed by literally thousands of the smartest people in the world to be completely irresistible. Trying to fight them with just willpower is like trying to hold back the ocean with your bare hands. So instead of relying on willpower, you need to redesign your environment. You need to create actual barriers that make distraction genuinely harder to access. The most powerful tactic here is the same one Jake started with, the distraction-free phone. This means actually deleting all the infinity pool apps from your phone. Social media, news apps, email, even your web browser. I know, this sounds extreme. But here's the thing the authors point out. Your smartphone is still an incredibly useful tool without all that stuff. The maps, the camera, the calendar, your music. These are genuine tools, not bottomless pits designed to swallow your time. By removing the infinity pools, you transform your phone from a slot machine in your pocket back into a powerful tool that actually serves you. If that feels like too giant a leap, you can start smaller. Just log out of your social media accounts after each use. That tiny bit of friction, having to type in your password again, is often just enough to make you pause and think, wait, do I really want to do this right now? Nix notifications is another game changer. Turn off every single notification on your phone except the ones from actual human beings you might genuinely need to hear from, like calls and text messages. Your phone should be a quiet, helpful assistant, not some screaming carnival barker demanding your attention every 30 seconds. The authors also talk about being really wary of what they call time craters. A time crater happens when a small, seemingly harmless distraction smashes a much bigger hole in your entire day. Think about it. You post one little tweet. Takes maybe 90 seconds, right? But then you check back a few times to see if anyone replied. You get sucked into scrolling the feed for a few minutes. You start composing your next witty tweet in your head. That innocent 90-second action just blasted a 30-minute crater in your focus. Another sneaky trap? Fake wins. This is that feeling of accomplishment you get from clearing out your inbox or checking off a bunch of tiny, super easy to-dos. It feels productive, it feels good, but it's a fake win because it's actually distracting you from the real win, making genuine progress on your highlight. By creating these small but meaningful barriers and staying aware of these traps, you make it so much easier to enter laser mode. You're not constantly fighting temptation every single minute, because the temptation simply isn't sitting right there in front of your face anymore. So you've chosen your highlight, and you've created this distraction-free zone to actually achieve it. But there's one more absolutely crucial ingredient you need. You need fuel. You need energy. This brings us to the third step, Energize. The authors argue this is actually the secret sauce of the whole system. If your body is basically a battery, you need to keep it charged. When you have energy, it becomes so much easier to stay focused, to resist those distractions, and to actually be present for the people and projects that matter. But in our modern world, we tend to treat our bodies like they're just taxis for our heads. We live entirely in our brains and completely forget that the brain actually needs a healthy body to function well. So how do you build energy? The author's advice is refreshingly simple and honestly kind of fun. Act a little more like our prehistoric ancestors. They introduce us to this friendly caveman they call URK. URK didn't have a standing desk or a gym membership, but his lifestyle was naturally energizing, and by learning from good old URK, we can recharge our own depleted batteries. The Energize section is built on a few core principles inspired by our hunter-gatherer past. The first principle is keep it moving. Our bodies were literally designed to move around, not to sit in a chair staring at a screen for 8 hours straight. But here's the good news. You don't need to become a marathon runner. The key is aiming for about 20 minutes of movement every day. Could be a brisk walk, a short run, or a quick workout at home. The tactic pound the pavement reminds us that walking is practically a wonder drug. It's the simplest, most accessible form of exercise out there, and it gives you this huge energy boost, or you can inconvenience yourself on purpose. Take the stairs instead of the elevator. Actually carry your groceries instead of using a cart. Park at the far end of the parking lot. Find these small, creative ways to build movement back into your day. The next principle is eat real food. Our bodies evolved over millions of years to run on plants, nuts, fish, and meat, not on things that come out of a plastic wrapper with ingredients you can't pronounce. One of my personal favorite tactics here is the dark chocolate plan. If you've got a serious sweet tooth like me, don't try to fight it completely. Just switch your default dessert to a small piece of really good dark chocolate. It has way less sugar, so you avoid that awful crash afterward, and it's surprisingly satisfying. Next up, optimize caffeine. Most of us just drink coffee or tea on complete autopilot. But caffeine is actually a powerful tool, and the authors say you should use it strategically. One brilliant tip is wake up before you caffeinate. Your body naturally produces this wake-up hormone called cortisol in the morning. If you chug coffee the second you roll out of bed, you're basically wasting it. Wait until around 9:30 or 10 a.m., and the boost becomes way more effective. Another fantastic one is the caffeine nap. When you feel that dreaded afternoon slump creeping in, drink a cup of coffee and then immediately take a 15-minute nap. Caffeine takes about that long to actually kick in. You'll wake up right as it hits your system, feeling incredibly refreshed and ready to tackle the rest of your day. Another crucial principle is go off the grid. Our hunter-gatherer ancestors lived in a world of natural quiet. Our world? It's filled with constant noise, buzzing, pinging, demanding our attention. You genuinely need to find moments of real silence to let your brain actually recharge. This can be as simple as leaving your headphones at home for one walk, or taking real breaks away from any screen. Instead of reflexively scrolling through your phone, Just stare out the window for 5 minutes. It sounds almost too simple, but it's like hitting the reset button for your brain. Finally, the authors talk about the real importance of genuine human connection with Make It Personal, and getting proper rest with sleep in a cave. A key tactic for better sleep? Make your bedroom a bedroom. Get all the screens out. The TV, the laptop, and especially your phone. Your bedroom should be this sanctuary for sleep, not just another place where you're getting stimulated and distracted. By making these small, URK-inspired shifts throughout your day, you charge up your battery. And with a full battery, everything else, focus, motivation, actually being present, becomes dramatically easier. This brings us to the fourth and final step, which ties the whole system together beautifully: reflect. At the end of each day, you take just a few minutes to pause and jot down some simple notes. This is your own personal scientific method in action. You observe what actually happened, make your best guess about why, and then experiment with something different tomorrow. You ask yourself a few straightforward questions. What was my highlight today? Did I actually make time for it? How was my energy level? What tactics did I try? What did I learn? This isn't about judging yourself harshly or shooting for some impossible perfection. It's actually the opposite. It's about being genuinely curious. You're just collecting data about yourself. Maybe you notice that on days when you go for a walk at lunch, your afternoon energy is dramatically higher. Or maybe you realize that checking email first thing in the morning consistently derails your highlight before you even get started. By taking these quick notes consistently, you start to build a system that's perfectly tailored to you, your unique body, your specific schedule, and your personal priorities. It's not some rigid one-size-fits-all program that some guru is selling. It's a flexible framework that you're building yourself, one day at a time. And that's the real beauty of Make Time. It's not asking you for some massive, life-altering overhaul that happens overnight. It's about small, intentional shifts. Choose one thing to focus on. Create a little protective space around that focus. Fuel your body with a bit more energy. And learn as you go along. The authors themselves are actually the best proof of where this can lead. By consistently making time, day after day, for their personal highlights, they found their lives slowly but surely shifting. Jake, who started making time in the evenings to write his adventure novel, eventually left his comfortable job at Google to become a full-time writer. Jay-Z and his wife, who made time on weekends to fix up an old sailboat they'd bought, eventually quit their jobs and started sailing down the Pacific coast, living this adventure they'd always dreamed about. They're definitely not telling you to quit your job tomorrow. What they're saying is this: when you consistently make time for the things that make you feel truly alive, your life starts to naturally align around those things in ways you can't possibly predict at the start. You don't have to wait for someday, you can genuinely start today. What I absolutely love about Make Time is how profoundly human it feels. In a world that's completely obsessed with productivity hacks, optimization techniques, and doing more stuff faster, this book comes along and gently but firmly says, hold on. That's actually not the point. The point isn't to cram more tasks into your day. The real point is to make time for what genuinely matters to you. It shifts the entire goal from pure efficiency to real intentionality. Jake Knapp and John Zeratsky aren't standing on some mountaintop as productivity gurus, sharing the secrets of their superhuman discipline and willpower. They openly call themselves time dorks. They freely admit they get distracted just like everyone else. They admit they don't have some magical reserve of willpower. And honestly, that's exactly what makes their advice so powerful and relatable. Their system isn't built for robots or productivity machines. It's built for real, fallible human beings who absolutely get tempted by Instagram and feel that magnetic pull of an overflowing inbox. The framework of highlight, laser, energize, and reflect is beautifully simple, yet it addresses the core challenges of modern life head-on. The whole idea of the highlight is such a brilliant antidote to the tyranny of the endless to-do list. Instead of feeling this crushing pressure to do everything, You're actually giving yourself permission to focus on one thing that will bring you genuine satisfaction or joy. It completely redefines what a successful day even looks like. It's not about achieving inbox zero anymore. It's about making time for your highlight and actually doing it. The laser section offers this sobering but absolutely necessary look at the reality of our relationship with technology. Coming from two people who actually built these technologies from the inside, their advice to create barriers and change our defaults feels incredibly authentic and credible. They're not anti-technology at all, they're pro-intention. They're helping us find a real way to harness the genuine superpowers of modern technology without falling headfirst into all the addictive traps that have been so carefully designed. And the Energize section, with its charming caveman mascot URK, is perhaps the most important and overlooked part of all. It's this powerful reminder that we are not just walking brains, we are physical beings, and our mental energy is directly tied to how we actually treat our bodies. The advice isn't extreme or fatty. It's not about some restrictive diet or a grueling workout plan. It's about small, consistent actions. Take a walk, eat some real food, get a bit more sleep. It's about aligning our modern lives, just a little bit more, with the way our bodies were actually designed to work over millions of years of evolution. If you're ready to actually try this, let me leave you with a simple way to start, based on the book's own Quick Start Guide. Don't try to implement everything at once and overwhelm yourself. Just try this for the next 3 days. 1. Choose your highlight. Before you go to bed tonight, decide on one thing for tomorrow that you genuinely want to make time for. Write it down somewhere you'll see it, and actually put it on your calendar. 2. Fight one distraction. Identify your single biggest distraction, your personal kryptonite as the authors call it. Is it Twitter? Is it constantly checking the news? Just for the time you've scheduled your highlight, create one simple barrier to it. Log out, turn off your Wi-Fi, or put your phone in another room. 3. Move your body. Find 20 minutes to go for a walk. That's genuinely it. Just pound the pavement. Do just those 3 things. And then, in the evening, take maybe 2 minutes to reflect on how it actually went. See what you learn about yourself. That's the beginning. It's not about some sudden dramatic transformation. It's about a gentle daily practice of making your life truly your own, one highlight at a time. That was our deep dive into Make Time by Jake Knapp and John Zeratsky. We've explored the core ideas together today, but I'll be completely honest with you. A summary can only take you so far. The real magic happens when you actually hold the book in your hands and read it yourself. It's in those quiet moments when one of their personal stories or a simple, clever tactic hits you in a way you didn't expect and couldn't have predicted. This summary is really your guide to help you decide if this book is worth your time and attention. If anything we've talked about today has genuinely resonated with you, if you've felt that pull of the busy bandwagon or gotten lost scrolling through an infinity pool, then I truly encourage you to grab a copy for yourself. Reading it isn't just about passively learning some concepts. It's an active experience that can genuinely change the way you see your days and your entire life. The link to the book is right there in the description below. Also, if you found this journey valuable, and you want to continue exploring the ideas in the world's most impactful books together, please take a moment to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. That way, you won't miss our next adventure into another potentially life-changing book from the billionaire's bookshelf. Let's keep growing and learning together.